Mr. Mark Rice. He is running for the 8th District for U.S. Congress. I've always been a supporter of Israel. The whole story of the modern day history of Jews, I'm like loving the concept of we have our own country now. We have the most sophisticated military, pound for pound, probably the best military in the world. I'm gung-ho. But I'm just not clear on the history with the Palestinians. Because at the end of the day, I'm going, we're all people. Why the hell can't we figure that out? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So give me some insight onto this. And I know you told me that you had lost some friends and family there, and you just came from there, right?
Yeah, I was there about a month ago, 2 months ago now, but I've been there 4 times this year. So I go a lot, and I do have a friend who passed away in the attack. He was at the concert that they were having. He was actually doing security there. And then another friend of mine was also doing security. They were actually together. They're friends. And my friend Shlomi right now is a hostage. So I don't know if he's alive or dead. So to be honest, it really affects me every day.
Yeah.
I mean, I think about it. I pray about it. I'm in lots of conversations with friends and family in Israel about not just my friends who's a hostage, but I have a bunch of family there, and many of them, like 5 of them are in Gaza right now. You know, they're soldiers. They weren't soldiers. They were in the reserves, but they were called up because it's war. It's not like just police action that's going on. This is a real war, and there's rockets. Just on my way here, I was listening to Israel. I've got some friends that are in Israel, and we have an app that we talk on, and there were like, I don't know, 20 rockets that they fired. You know, and then it was near Tel Aviv too, like right in the middle of the country. And I've been there when rockets come. It's very scary. You know, these are terrorists. These are not guided missiles. They're just rockets trying to kill innocent people. So Israel is, of course, I believe, very rightful in fighting this war, and it's a very just war. I mean, it's like I also heard something today. Somebody said we're sick of having to defend ourselves, saying that we have a right to exist. I mean, it's just pretty basic, right? Like Israel says, hey, we have a right to live without rockets falling on us, without terrorists killing over 1,000 people and taking hostages and all of that. And I just can't imagine if in the United States we had terrorists, because we know there really are evil people in this world. And these are evil people that want to kill like Christians and Jews, and some people want to kill Americans or Israel. And those types of folks, if they were sitting like in Canada or in Wisconsin, or you know, we're here in Illinois, they were sitting near us and they were firing rockets at us and coming across and killing people. We wouldn't. You don't just let that happen. You got to stop it. So it's completely unsustainable for Israel to live as a free country or be a society in constant fear and constantly being murdered by terrorists. So all they're really doing is fighting a war to destroy terrorists. Hamas is one of them. Hezbollah is really another one. Both proxies of Iran, who's an enemy not just of Israel, but of the United States. And these are, we even as the United States, we recognize them as terrorist groups. You know, these aren't groups that you can negotiate with or come to peace with. They don't want peace. When you hear that business, they, like their slogan is, you hear even in Chicago, they say, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. That's their mantra, their slogan. That means the complete destruction of Israel. You know, the river is the Jordan River, the sea is the Mediterranean, Israel's in between. Their narrative is that Israel shouldn't be there and Jews shouldn't be there, and Christians and Jews don't believe in their God. There's a little bit of that jihadism, that religious aspect to it. And so the infidels need to be killed, and the land should be theirs, which doesn't make a lot of sense because the Jews were clearly there first. Judaism precedes Islam. You know, there were Jews there like 3,000 years ago. Islam didn't start until like 2,000 years ago. So like clearly when you dig, you find all these Hebrew things. You know, the archaeology is the Jews were there. So the Jews have a real claim on the land, and the Jews really aren't settlers because they've always been there, you know. So I have family there, and I love the place. It's also the strongest ally of America that there is. Certainly in the Middle East, it's our strongest ally. It's the only democracy in the whole Middle East. And so we have a real interest, both, I believe, from just a moral perspective, and if you believe in God in a godly perspective, but also just in a United States best interests to do everything we can to support Israel. To the extent I could do that in Congress, that's another thing that I like to do. They just this week, the Congress actually voted for a package of aid to Israel, mostly military, but some humanitarian and all of that. And the guy I'm running against, he voted against it. So in fact, the only people that voted against it were Democrats. Republicans voted 100% for it, and some Democrats did too, to their credit, but not the guy I'm running against. He voted against it. So, there are some things we can do to help, and it is just a tragedy. But just like we fought against ISIS, and I guess Al-Qaeda is another one, and Osama bin Laden and all those things, I thought that was a just thing to do. These people who want to destroy us, I thought it was okay to fight them, and you can't. We're not going to give them land. You're not going to give Al-Qaeda a country, and it's just as absurd, the idea to give Al-Qaeda a country or ISIS a country as it would be to give or Hamas a country would be to give the people that we fought against as Americans, that we fought against in Iraq or Afghanistan. And here even, when some of these terrorists try to take us out. So I'm hopeful that Israel's going to be successful. I think they will, but they are pretty strong.
Because there are good people. There are good Palestinian people. Are they being
misled? But the war isn't against the Palestinian people. It's just not. I mean, they're real clear about that.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying the Palestinian
why
people
are they
supporting the Hamas.
They voted? It's their elected government. It's not as if it's some terrorist group that just is occupying a part of Gaza Strip. They literally are in control, or not today, they were in control of Gaza. Israel gave the land essentially to the people, like these Palestinians you're talking about. And then they decided to have an election, that's what Israel wanted, the same thing, for them to self-determine and have some kind of a government. And they elected a terrorist group. Another terrorist group came in second in that election, but Hamas won, and then it's a dictatorship, so they haven't had other elections, and Hamas has been in control of Gaza ever since then. And I feel terrible for the people, because they're not only they're being used as human shields and all these, and killed by, if you're homosexual, they'll throw you off a roof. I mean, they follow like Sharia law. It's really sort of a barbaric way to live, and the people have to live under those rules, but they either they're in fear, and so they vote based out of fear that if they didn't vote that way, they would be killed. Because there's a lot of that. I think that people, you can't talk against the government. You can't talk against Hamas when you're in the Gaza. You'd be hurt severely, or your family and everything. So there's a lot of intimidation that goes on. And then, so what Israel is doing, they're saying, okay, we're trying to identify every single militant Hamas member, and we're going to take them out, just the way that they did with, not they, but the United States, I guess, mostly did with ISIS or Al-Qaeda. They're trying to do the same with Hamas, and maybe Hezbollah in the north as well. We'll see. Like just today, there's a lot of fighting in the north, in Lebanon and in northern Israel. I mean, like they've evacuated all the cities. There's a city in northern Israel called Kiryat Shmona. And Kiryat Shmona, I think, has about 30 to 50,000 people living there. It's empty. They evacuated everybody. I mean, like all these big cities that are not so much big, but, fairly large towns, they're all evacuated because they're fully expecting to be attacked on two fronts, not just one. So we'll see what happens. But I have an uncle in Israel, and he actually sent me an email, he's in the bomb shelter half the time. The sirens are going off. And when I was at his house just recently, I saw a missile go over, and then a Patriot missile, and it boom.
God, it was
kind of cool. To be honest.
That's cool, but it's
like
scary
fireworks.
as hell.
It was scary. I couldn't hide because I happened to be in a field, and you only have like 30 seconds to hide, and there was like nowhere to go. But anyway, they're doing a good job with the Iron Dome missiles. That defense is pretty good. But anyway, there was a letter written. I think you'll resonate with this. I was just reading it. Oh gosh, it's hard for me to read. It's from Harry Truman, and it was written in 1943 about the nuclear bomb. And basically, here's the last sentence of the letter. I'll forward it to you so you'll have it. He says, when you have to deal with a beast, he was talking about Japan and attacking on Pearl Harbor. It says, when you have to deal with a beast, you have to treat him as a beast. Basically saying that, that when people are barbaric, the only way, maybe you can read it, the only way you can treat them, the only thing they understand is strength. You can't really negotiate somebody that just wants to kill you, that wants to genocide you. And so unfortunately, that's what we've been up against with terror as the United States. And that's what Israel is up to now. And there still are people, like you say, though, who support the terror. And it's crazy that they do that. And there's a lot of funny memes. Have you seen them where you have like leftists that are saying, I support Hamas, or there was a really good one I'll send you. A guy goes to like a leftist college. I think it's Cal Berkeley. It's as far left as you could ever be. And he's like, will you sign for that you support Hamas? And they're like, absolutely. And they start signing it. And they go, okay, that's okay. But there's also these footnotes. I just want you to read them and make sure you're okay with that, which is like, we kill all homosexuals and we don't allow women to drive or, and they're like, wait a second, I don't know. It's pretty crazy. And there's even some Jews who are far left Jews that even, believe it or not, would like support Hamas, or maybe in their mind they think they should. But so they're literally supporting somebody who, if they met them, would kill them. I mean, it's insane. It's insanity.
How does it ever end then? Even with the destruction of the current Hamas,
that'd be great though.
But the Palestinian people are still, they're exploitable. So the next group's going to come in. Like
it could. You're right. It could. But look, when you remove, it's like Nazi Germany. The Germans weren't the villains. And actually, if you think about it, we carpet bombed Dresden. I mean, we killed a lot of innocent Germans. Israel's really taking every measure that they can not to kill civilians. They're going after the military, after the leadership and the actual soldiers that are holding American and Israeli hostages. My own friend, I mean, it's war, and they're trying to destroy them. Once they destroy them, and I think they will, I don't know how that's going to end and how long that's going to take, but when they're successful, that will be a great thing for the Palestinian people. And I think some of them will be grateful. A lot of them have been taught to hate Jews, and they have this sort of death cult ideology, and some of them can't help it. It's how they were raised. They were educated that the Jews are bad, or Israel's bad, Israel's the oppressor, all these things. And some of them there will still be hatred. I don't think that that's going to go away, but removing this really evil force that is controlling them and hurting them and actually killing them. Even today, Israel is trying, they gave people 3 weeks to get out of the way. Like, we'll give you 3 weeks, move here. They send them leaflets. They do all these things. We didn't do that in World War II with the Nazis. We just bombed them. But anyway, when you get rid of the leadership, Germany's okay. I mean, at least after World War II, once the Nazis were destroyed, and they were, the German people were, there was no more wars. Let's just put it that way. And I think that there could be some kind of a peace like that, where once you destroy the truly evil folks that are real killers and murderers and animals and do barbaric things, that the people will at least be willing to live in peace, just like the defeated countries in World War II. It's kind of a similar analogy, I think.